Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Popcorn and Spooky Stuff. Tonight, we're going to go ahead and do a recap of episode 5 of American Horror Story 1984. This episode is titled Red Dawn. At the beginning of this episode, we go into a backstory of Donna. This backstory occurs in 1980, 4 years before the events at Camp Redwood. Donna's mother has sent her on a mission to check on her father. The mother claims that the father has been disappearing and thinks that he's having an affair. Donna ends up in a place where he's staying and hears noises coming from one of the bedrooms. She immediately thinks he's in the room with another woman, and she knocks and bangs on the door, yelling for him to open the door before she tells the mother he's with the mistress. As any normal person would, Donna starts to freak out at this discovery. At the moment where she's trying to help free the lady tied to the bed, her father walks into the room. Her father is startled that she is in the room and has discovered his secret. He says that he never wanted anyone to know his dirty secret, that he's always been a killer. Donna cries, worried that he is going to kill her for this discovery, but also trying to struggle with helping her father. She says that she could help change him if he just trusted her. And as she thinks he finally is going to give in and let her help him, he grabs his knife and stabs himself in the neck, killing himself instantly. Donna is able to pry the door open and walks into the darkly lit bedroom. As Donna walks into the room, she sees there's a woman tied to the bed that is holding on to life. She is bloody and has been stabbed and mutilated. She looks at the wall next to the bed, and there are dozens of photos of men and women, black and white, that have been mutilated or killed. And it seems that she discovers her father is a serial killer. Well, guys, so that was a very rough backstory for Donna. We could definitely see why this would have sparked her interest in serial killers and why she felt like she could turn them from being bad to going back to normal. It definitely shows why she showed an interest in Jingles and why she was so interested to see him head back to camp and kind of like watch how things played out. Later on in the episode, we actually see Donna with a ghost version of her father, and they're having a discussion about her having the killer instinct inside her, that she is going to be just like her father. She does not seem to want to be a killer. And she definitely shows remorse for everything that happened to the camp counselors. And her father is trying to tell her that she needs to meet her true potential, that she is just like him. She is her father's daughter. So this episode does a really good job of finishing up the final night of the killings in Camp Redwood 1984. So right off the bat, we discover that Brooke sees someone out one of the windows, and it's Ray. So Ray is back as a ghost for sure in the camp, which is also sad because you know he's going to be there forever. But she runs into Ray, and just like the hitchhiker, he has no memory of what happened after he was on the motorcycle. He just remembers that he was leaving camp, and up until when he was beheaded, it's all really foggy, and he's just a little confused. So they come to the conclusion that he must have wiped out or had an accident and just wandered back onto camp. So, going back to a couple episodes prior, we kind of noticed that Brooke and Ray had a little bit of chemistry, and it seemed that Brooke was a little smitten with him. Well, definitely in this episode, it's clear that she likes him, and they share a moment where they have a kiss. Now, Brooke goes into detail telling Ray how she doesn't want to die and never experience life. And Ray tells her what's stopping her. So they both have a moment where they just go for it, and she ends up having sex with Ray. Unbeknownst to Brooke, Ray is a ghost. So, after they slept together, I have a theory that Brooke is most likely going to become pregnant with Ray's baby. Now, back in season 1, we definitely know that a spirit can impregnate a living person. So, if we're going to connect like all the seasons, it would make sense that Brooke would become pregnant with Ray's child, and somehow that child will connect this season to past seasons or to season 10. Moving on, we also see a lot more of Montana in this episode. Montana is struggling with trying to kill Brooke. And pretty much the whole episode, she's trying to muster up the power to just go ahead and do it. Well, when she finally does attack Brooke, Brooke is definitely able to escape all these killers somehow, and she's able to escape Montana. So we have like Dawn, and the girls are still like going at it, fighting. And Montana does stab Brooke in the shoulder, but Brooke is able to overpower her, and she ends up getting on top of Montana and stabbing her multiple times in the chest, killing her. So that scene was crazy, but the thing that made it even more crazy is that right after she kills Montana, the school bus loaded with all the campers literally arrives at that moment, and as Brooke stands up with all the blood on her and holding the bloody knife, she looks up and sees that the school campers are pretty much screaming in the school bus, and are traumatized at what they are seeing. Let's go ahead and chat about Chet for a moment. So in this episode, he was still hanging on for a good little bit. He was definitely injured, but he was still making it. Montana had nominated Chet to go with Margaret. Margaret had said that she believed that she saw other campers on the other side of camp, and she was going to go for help, but she needed a volunteer to go with her. So Montana had nominated Chet, and you could definitely tell that Chet was not happy about this. And he went with Margaret to go across the lake on the other side of camp to get help. So at the halfway point in the boat, going across the lake, Chet says to Margaret that he doesn't see anyone on the other side of camp, so he doesn't think there's anyone there anymore. So from there, Margaret starts having a discussion with Chet about men and about men that are like him. And he quickly becomes offended and tells Margaret that she doesn't know anything about him to make any judgment. So, deeply offended, Chet turns to Margaret and basically turns the table around on her and says, "What about you, Margaret? What are you hiding?" And at that moment, Margaret uses that time to admit that she is the killer, that her plan was to separate the camp counselors one by one so she could kill them. Now, Chet is pretty much taken as surprised by this information. Before he could really process what's going on, Margaret hits him in the head a few times with the paddle, knocking him out shortly. So while they were struggling, Margaret actually tried to cut off his left ear to make it look like Jingles had attacked him. He was able to try to stop her, but she knocked him out. As Chet woke up from being knocked out, he realizes his feet has been tied together. Margaret's attached his legs to an anchor, which she throws in the water, trying to shove him out so he'll drown. Chet fights to keep above water, but Margaret is hitting his hand to loosen the grip. She finally pulls off his left ear, and he screams in pain. He finally lets go and sinks down in the water. Let's go ahead and chat about Xander's character. So, Xander, he discovers that Donna was behind Jingles arriving at the camp, and it's her fault that his looks have been tarnished forever. He's never going to be an actor. He's just going to have to be in radio because no one's going to want to look at his burnt face. With rage, he tries to kill Donna, chasing her throughout camp, trying to hunt her down for what she's done to him. As far as we know, Xander was unsuccessful in hunting down Donna, but he did bump into Jingles and Margaret as Jingles was attacking Margaret, trying to kill her for all she's done. Xander, very similar to one of the Friday the 13th movies, grabs a bow and arrows and just starts shooting arrows into Jingles. He probably shot 10 arrows in him. This allowed for Jingles to pretty much die, and Xander runs towards Margaret, who appears to be knocked out, and is asking if she's okay. Out of nowhere, Margaret jumps up and she stabs Xander in the chest, and she drags the knife down his stomach, killing him. So poor Xander, I was really rooting for his character, and I was really hoping that he was going to be the final character to live the night, but unfortunately Margaret got him and he died. So later on we find out that the Night Stalker approaches Jingles and brings him back to life. Now, in order for Jingles to stay alive, he has to swear to Satan. So what we believe is that he does this, and this gives him the power, along with the Night Stalker, to leave Camp Redwood, and they are not in purgatory, so they're back alive and they could leave camp. And they drove off to LA. Now, we do have more ghosts on Camp Redwood. So we have definitely Ray, but we also have Montana and Xander. Montana and Xander seem to really thrive as spirits, and Montana wastes no time to already make her first kill as a ghost, as she kills one of the officers that is left at the crime scene. She shoots him, and she just has fun doing that. In the preview for next week, we see that Montana and Xander seem to team up, and they're just killing people left and right. And Ray seems to really have changed after death. He seems to be more outspoken, and he seems to be telling the others what they're doing is wrong, and they shouldn't be killing all of these people. Now, I think in future episodes we may have a time jump. And as I said before, I really think that Brooke is going to have Ray's child. And for whatever reason, she's going to come back to Camp Redwood with this child. And Ray is going to meet his son or daughter. So I think that would be kind of like a cool dynamic. And I think the child will probably tie in somehow with past seasons or in season 10 somehow. So I'm really excited to see that. And I don't know if any of the other characters are going to come back. The final thing I want to talk about is Margaret. I am just really annoyed that her character got away with killing everyone again and no one questions her. So after Brooke kills Montana, the police officers believe that she's the killer when Margaret comes out stabbing herself in the leg, and then she comes out and asks, for help, and they ask her, what happened, and she points to Brooke and says Brooke is the one who killed everyone, and she went crazy. So none of the authorities do any kind of investigation. They're just going to go ahead and take Margaret's word, and she's just going to go ahead and get away with the murders. Now, I don't think that's going to end that way. So there's definitely theories on this season. So one of my theories is that everything that's going on is a movie. So it could be that Madison from Calvin, this is one of her slasher movies that she starred in. And none of it's real. Like, they're all actors just reading a script for a slasher movie. One of the other theories is that this is like Hunger Games, that something like they're playing a game and it's not real. So they're all just like playing a part. But we'll see what goes on in the next episode. The preview was not like very long, so we don't really know much what's going to happen. I am very interested to see what also happened with Donna. So we began the episode with Donna, but then I don't know what happened to her at the end after she had the discussion with her father. Where is she? Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm excited to talk about episode 6 that comes out next Wednesday. Until then, have a good night, and talk to you later. Bye.